Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the natal chart of renowned astrologer Noel Tyl. Anyway, first thing, as far as his chart goes, well, he has the sun in Capricorn, and as many of you may know, the sun in astrology can represent our basic wants, and with his sun being in Capricorn, well, this could be about career ambitions and attainments. Now, the fact that he has Cancer rising, it shows that he may have attained this, maybe with a little indirect energy, but with a lot of tenacity, perhaps a lot of it with an introverted kind of manner, maybe doing a lot of his work at home, and with a lot of emotional and maybe sensitive energy and contemplative energy as well. Now, with his moon in Leo, this could give an emotional need for public acclaim, notoriety, recognition, accolades, and attention. Now, before astrology, he was an opera singer, so he was, I guess you could say, like a performer, and that could have been that moon in Leo coming out strong as far as that goes. Now, he also has what I would consider a long opposition between his sun and ascendant. Of course, the sun, as I stated before, being in Capricorn, his ascendant being in Cancer. The signs, of course, are diametrically opposed anyway as far as the signs go. And so, I mean, when you have an opposition in between, or well, in this case, a long opposition, I would consider, with the sun and the ascendant in astrology, this could be where, I mean, not only do you have the energies, of course, diametrically opposed, but you also can feel like you're maybe misconstrued or not understood by others, because what you're projecting outwardly is so vastly different than what is going on inside. In his case, he's with Cancer ascendant. I'm sure he's projecting a much more emotional, sensitive energy and a little bit animated even, where the Capricorn sun is just a little bit more controlled energy, more disciplined, more serious, and not really that emotional, can actually be seen sometimes as undemonstrative. So anyway, well, back as far as his chart, the pictorial perspective goes, looking at, I mean, he has 6 planets on the top half of his chart and 4 on the bottom. So he's got a little bit more on the top than on the bottom. So this could suggest extroversion and gregariousness over introversion, and also perhaps more objective than subjective, and being more optimistic than pessimistic. However, what I think modifies this strongly is he has 9 of his 12, what I consider major astrological influences, are in feminine signs. So this does modify this strongly. I think he might actually be more introverted overall. And when I'm talking about, to clarify this, when I'm referring to major astrological influences, I'm talking, the way I see this, the 10 planets in astrology, and the ascendant and the midheaven. Now, he also has 6 planets of the 10 are on the right side of his chart, and 4 are on the left. Now, with 6 a little bit more on the right side of his chart, this indicates perhaps slightly more dependence as opposed to self-reliance and independence, and maybe a little more of a need to collaborate with others on projects and endeavors as opposed to doing them in a solo manner. Now, he also he has 5 major astrological influences in earth signs. So this can suggest, of course, very strong pragmatism, practicality, astuteness in monetary and economic matters, strong premeditation and planning, and much prudence and caution. Now, he also has a preponderance of astrological energy in cardinal signs. So this can give an abundance of initiative and enterprise, and an energy where it's not necessarily about procrastinating or hesitating. It can give certain impatience and willingness to get things done quickly, and very action-oriented energy, but at the same time, it can indicate to some degree perhaps lacking persistence and follow-through as well. So, and he may likely might start a number of projects simultaneously, but not finish all of them. Now, he has Also, what he has is he has the final signature in Capricorn. Now, the final signature in astrology may give an overall tone or feel to the chart, but I don't see this, at least I don't, as superseding the sun, moon, or ascendant in terms of its significance, importance, or impact on the chart. Now, but at the same time, the fact that his sun sign is in Capricorn can perhaps reinforce some of this energy that's associated with the final signature in Capricorn. Now, as far as he also has the majority of his planets are in the third quadrant, or houses 7, 8, and 9. Now, this can accentuate and emphasize relationships, whether it's one-to-one or significant other, and intimate relationships as well, and even ones that are in foreign countries as well. Now, his chart ruler is the moon in Leo in his third house. Now, this suggests that a lot of his Cancerian ascendant energy figures prominently in terms where it comes out strongly. It can come out strongly with siblings, if he does have them, if applicable, with neighbors, and in his communications and his writings. Now, it may also give a little but Gemini-like undercurrents because it is the chart ruler is in the third house, and of course the third house does correspond with Gemini. Now, also too, what I found interesting, what stood out to me in his natal chart for Noel Tyl, is that his moon is a singleton. It's the only major astrological influence in a fire sign. So this may indeed put more emphasis and accentuate that energy more. There might be more of an emotional need for notoriety, attention, accolades, being lauded, pomp, splendor, and this can be strongly emphasized. And also too, that need for emotional, being that emotional communicator, given that the moon is in the third house of communications. And also moon, emotional security may also be strongly emphasized, more emphasized as well. And this moon in Leo can come out maybe a lot, I would say definitely stronger than the typical moon in Leo, because the moon in Leo, of course, is not it's not pronounced or prominent in the sense that it's not in its dignity, exaltation, fall, or detriment. So, and of course, it's not in any of that by house placement either, accidentally. So anyway, well, also too, I thought was interesting, he has a Sun-Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn in the 7th house, which could really can indicate success in public relations. He also has Uranus in accidental dignity in the 11th house in Taurus. And he also has Saturn in Pisces in accidental dignity in the 10th house. Now, the thing about the Uranus in accidental dignity in the 11th house, well, this could indicate that, that he can really have a strong ability to incorporate ingenuity and originality in astrology, and being in Taurus, perhaps with an unusual ability for persistence. Now, the fact, going back to now the Saturn in Pisces in the 10th house being an accidental dignity, this is a very good placement and can show that a strong ability to work laboriously in connection with the metaphysical, and I think that this is somewhat attributed to his success in that area. Now, and also to Saturn in Pisces, that's at the 17th degree, which of course is a critical degree, and I think this can make that even more prominent and more pronounced. Now, anyway, he has a pair of intercepted houses, Noel Tyl does. He has the 6th and the 12th house intercepted. The 12th house has Gemini intercepted, and the 6th house has Sagittarius intercepted in it. So when you have interceptions in a natal chart, what happens is that it could really be difficulty in finding equilibrium between the energy of those houses. And the thing is, what Noel Tyl probably has had difficulty doing, I would guess, from looking at these interceptions in his chart, is having an ability to balance his private sector in his life and also the work-related sector as well. And so it could be time, it could show certain vacillation and distortion of energy. It could show one moment that, for a protracted period, he might want to do a lot of relaxing and being in private and have his solitude and seclusion. Then the next moment, he might be putting a lot of strong emphasis on his work life. Considering all his accomplishments, I'm thinking that he probably puts a lot more emphasis on the work life than he does in terms of the private life. Now, the thing with this too is, though, that Sagittarius, okay, being intercepted in the 6th, this could show that he may have had some difficulty. Maybe, this could be somewhat suppressed energy in bringing out exuberance and enthusiasm and expansiveness into his daily routine and his work life. But that being said, you have, when you have interceptions, can give some distortion and vacillation of energy. When that does come out, it would come out very strong, though. Now, with Gemini, with him being intercepted in his 12th house, this could show perhaps maybe difficulty finding maybe ability to have variety and maybe communication in his private life, in people that are prominent in his private life, when he's really in that particular part of his life, and maybe finding intellectual stimulation in solitude and seclusion. But when it does, as I stated before about the vacillation, distortion of energy, when it does come out, it can come out very very strongly. Anyway. Another thing about this is that he has the North Node in Sagittarius in his 6th house. So that could show, as far as that mission, that purpose that he has, could really be strongly in bringing those, really maybe publishing into his work life, philosophy into it, perhaps philanthropy. And even though it's a little harder to access, given that it's intercepted, still a certain exuberance and enthusiasm into the daily routine and into his work life, and also having a positive outlook on health-related matters as well, and being very optimistic, being that incorrigible optimist, so to speak, as far as that goes, and being that perpetual learner and incorporating that into his daily life and routine. Now, he has, what's interesting too, he has Chiron in Gemini as well, intercepted in that 12th house. So I think a lot of this can show his, really, as far as, Chiron, as many of you may know, is the wounded healer. Now, as far as the healing element and helping others, I think this could figure prominently for him in terms of maybe helping others through the metaphysical, in connection with communication and speaking very eloquently and with very good diction and being very verbose, and the process writing very well. And also too, about really and perhaps really helping others maybe less fortunate. It wouldn't surprise me if he was a person that, he's a person that helps others less fortunate, because that's what the 12th house is about, in manifold Gemini ways, in a variety of ways. Given that this is intercepted, though, this energy may have been harder for him to work. It might have been a little bit suppressed, but still can work at some point nonetheless. Now, also too, what's interesting in Noel Tyl's natal chart is that he has a Yod configuration. Now, some people may agree, some may not agree. I think some would agree you can use the ascendant in a Yod configuration. Others may no, and others may just think it's weak. But anyway, it might be considered a weak Yod using the ascendant as one of the proponents in it. But anyway, I'm going to get to his Yod. Now, the Yod in his natal chart that I saw, it consists of the ascendant making a sextile to his natal moon, and both those astrological energies making an inconjunct to his Mercury in Capricorn in the 8th house. And Mercury being in Capricorn, it's at 29 degrees. So this is like how I see as the full culmination of that energy. This can give a lot of surfite, really of communication and an abundance of energy in writing. And I think this may have figured prominently in him flourishing in terms of a writer and being in the 8th house of astrology. And I believe he wrote at least one book which explored the sexual element of astrology as well. And of course the 8th house is connected with sexuality as well. But anyway, going back to his yacht configuration, again, he has Mercury, of course, in Capricorn in the 8th house, is the apex point of that finger point of the yacht configuration. And again, he does have the ascendant in Cancer, early Cancer, making the sextile to late moon in Leo, and both those energies are making an inconjunct to the Mercury in Capricorn in the 8th house. Now, I think a lot of this being Mercury at the apex point, this could have very well helped him being directed toward humanistic astrology and just being enamored with astrology and that correlation with human psychology. Now, the ascendant proponent of this yod may very well be that human aspect to it, an element, and now the moon in Leo, really that emotional need perhaps for creative expression and recognition. And he was able, I think, to incorporate that into that apex point in the yod. Now, he did say in a video that, quote, astrologers are performers, end quote. Now, I think perhaps this is his Leo moon energy being injected perhaps into the success of this configuration. Now, I think a lot of this shows that ability for inordinate and prodigious achievement in his disciplined Capricorn consistent writings. When I say Capricorn writings, I'm talking about the Mercury in Capricorn, of course, and also the ability perhaps to work through the difficulty of the inconjuncts made to Mercury by his ascendant and moon. Now, the sextile he has between the ascendant and moon suggests he is able to convey feelings lucidly and perspicaciously and inject that into the Mercury in the 8th house apex point, which of course is that action point or that direction point of the yod configuration. Now, he also has a multitude of other indicators for success in astrology, including Aquarius, which is associated with astrology on the 9th house cusp of publishing and higher education. He has Pisces on the 10th house cusp of career. The ruler of his 8th house, and the 8th house can be connected with the occult, supernatural, and including astrology. Ruler of the 8th house in his 10th house. He also has Scorpio on his 6th house cusp, being able to incorporate supernatural, occult-like things in the daily routine in his work life. And of course, astrology can be included in that. Also, Pluto in the 2nd, I think this could give some propensity perhaps to make money, generate income through something that could be astrological, occult-like. And also, too, he has Venus in Aquarius in the 9th house of publishing. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for my analysis of Noel Tyl's natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'm going to be talking about astrology and the recent YouTube shooting, the shooting that took place at the YouTube headquarters. Anyway, people, two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.